Let's now talk about the SolidWorks Design Library feature. Now, using Design Library, you can insert ready-made set of parts and blocks in your drawing. And not only that, you can even save your own blocks in the Design Library. So let's start with the latter. So we'll just create some blocks and then we'll save it in the Design Library. And for that, of course, I'll start with the Blocks panel. So I'll right-click here and Toolbar, and I'll select blocks. Now with the block toolbar activated, we are now ready to create our block. So let's go to sketch and maybe I'll select the front plane and I'll just create a simple block here. So here I've got this thing and I'll just add a line here which will kind of act like the front view of a USB plug. So this is the front view of our USB plug. Now we'll just convert it into a block. So to do that, select this one, make block option, select your entire set of objects which you want to convert into a block. Of course, you can select an insertion point if you want, which is this one already selected. So click OK and we have the block. Now that you have a block, you can actually save it in the library. And to do that, all you got to do is right click on the block in the feature tree and here select add to library option. Now the library option is right here. So we have the design library, click and the library option will show up. Now by default it will show you these three options. So we have design library, SolidWorks content and the toolbox. Now when you open the toolbox for the very first time, it will show you just a simple link here. So you can just click that link to load all of these folders. So by default the folder may not show up. Just click the link and the folders will show up. Alright, so inside this design library, I'll first create a folder and you can actually create a folder using this create new folder option. So select the design library and click on create new folder. Now let's give it a name. So I'll call it test and press enter. So we now have a new folder called test and inside this folder we'll save this block. So I'll select this block 1, right click and add to library. Now where do we want to save it? Well, of course in the test folder which we just now created. So the first thing is the block which we want to add, that's this one. Now if you want to give it a specific name, you can name it here. So I'll call it front USB. Alright, now that's the name of this block. Now select the folder from this design library. So you can also select any other folder if you want, but I'll select this test folder. And once you are done, click OK. Now in this case, it will save it as a SolidWorks block file. As you can see, that's the extension we have here. And of course, if you want to add a description, you can do that here. So with that, I'll click OK. And we now have our very first block added in the library. Now, in a similar way, you can add as many blocks as you want. Now, what's the advantage of using that thing? Well, here's the advantage. I've got this block which is available only in this drawing. Now, if you want to use this block again in maybe some other drawing, then you can now use that library to insert it from there. So to do that, I'll just close this drawing and open a new one. Now in a completely new drawing, of course, we don't have any block because if you click on insert block option and if you select a plane, you won't see anything here. This is completely empty. Now if you go to this design library, we still have the test folder and inside this we have the front USB. To insert it, all you've got to do is just drag it and drop it and now it will insert the block in our drawing. Click OK and we have the USB front view here. So that's how you can create your own library of blocks and save it inside the design library. And from here, whenever required, you can insert the blocks. Alright, so we are done. Let's just delete this folder. So I'll right click on test folder and select delete and the folder is removed as well as all the blocks inside the folder are removed. Now, if you want to insert ready-made components or parts in your drawing, you can use this design library. And before we do that, I'll first exit out of this sketch and I'll also delete this sketch. I'll start with a completely blank drawing. We can also remove this blocks toolbar now. So let's expand the design library. And here we have once again design library expanded and now you can choose the parts, components or assemblies which you want to insert here. So here I'll go to assemblies. We have mold bases and well, we have this one mold, this single mold here. So I'll just insert it. Now to insert this, select, drag and drop. And here we are. So I'll just click on rebuild. And here is the assembly. It's added in our drawing. So that's how you can actually insert complete assemblies. Alright, now let's maybe close this one and open again a new drawing file. So here we have a new file and now once again I'll go to this And if you want to insert parts, well, select, and we have, well, several other categories here. You can just select the one which you want to insert and then, well, select whatever you want. So maybe I'll just select knobs and I'll just insert this knob. So I'll drag it and drop it and select yes. I'll just insert it with whatever the default location is. Click yes, and there we are. We have got this thing. Now, even after inserting it, if you want to change its location, you can use these options to change the location, or you can just click on constraints and use these constraints to move it properly. Once again, we'll discuss it in detail in the assembly section. For now, I'll cancel this. And here we have a ready-made knob. Now, in a similar way, you can also use other folders here. For example, here, that's the design library. I'll just collapse it. And now I'll go to Toolbox. Now, inside Toolbox also, we have several parts which we can use. So inside the Toolbox, I'll first, well, click the link. If it is just the link in your case, click it to just populate all these folders. And now we have all of these different standards for us. So you can select the type of standard which you want to use. In this case, I'll select NC Inch. And as you can see, once again, it is divided into different categories. For example, we have bolts and screws. So if you want to just insert a bolt or screw, just double click here. And here we have all the bolts available for us. Now here I'll select this hex head and double click. And now we have all the hex head bolts. So I'll simply select this hex bolt, drag it and drop it. Yes. And we have this hex bolt added in our drawing. So this pop-up will show up only when you have different units in this drawing. And if this has a different unit, well, that's when the pop-up shows up. Simply select yes for now. And here it is. Once again, if you want to constrain it, move it, you can use these options. I'm not going to do that. I'll click OK, and we have the part added in our drawing. Again, I'll go to this design library and maybe I'll just collapse it. And now I'll select this SolidWorks content. Now here also we have some blocks that you can actually insert in your drawing. So now expand the SolidWorks content and you can see the blocks. Now again, these blocks are divided into different categories, and actually you can use these blocks in your drawing. For example, I'll go to this blocks folder and we have the electrical blocks here, hydraulic blocks here. Now if you want to insert electrical blocks, let's just assume for a moment that we want to insert electrical blocks. I'll just select and now control click this one. So press and hold your control key and then click here. And now this will allow you to download these blocks. I'll go to downloads folder, select it, and now the folder is downloaded. All right, let's see where we have it. So I'll go to the browser, downloads, and here we have the electrical folder. Now I'll extract the files. So right click, extract, and I'll extract it right inside this folder. So I'll go to downloads and I'll just select this folder and extract. And this will extract the electrical file here. And now these are all SolidWorks blocks. And of course, these are electrical blocks that we can use in our drawing. Now, if you want to use these blocks, well, you can use it just like any other block. So right click, toolbar, and blocks toolbar. And now I'll click on insert. Now, of course, we need to select a plane. So maybe I'll just select the front plane and then I'll click on browse. Go to downloads, locate the block which you want to insert. For example, in this case, I'll go to diode and I'll just select a diode here. Click open. And now we have this diode symbol, which is added here. I'll press escape, or maybe you can just click on OK, and this is now added. So we have the diode block added in our drawing. So in this way, you can insert assemblies, components, and even blocks using the SolidWorks design library. And of course, you can also save your own blocks in the SolidWorks design library. So I'll just cancel it out and I'll exit out of this sketch.